So I was having one of those deep thinking nights a couple nights ago, and I just happened to look up at the calendar, and I saw that it was December 4th, or whatever day it was, I forget. And I thought to myself, 2020 really is over, and I feel like I didn't really accomplish anything. Okay, well, in reality I did. I mean, we all did, but I feel like this year went by so quickly, and I didn't necessarily want to accomplish the things that I wanted to do. I wanted to make more videos. I wanted to go more places with my girlfriend, and I wanted to make more videos on fun things like the exhibition, or this thing that we were supposed to go to called the Avengers Station. Think of it kind of like a walk through, almost like a museum for the Avengers. And I'm not the biggest fan of the Avengers, but I can appreciate the entertainment value that the movies bring, and the amount of joy and action, and the production quality that they bring to fans everywhere. I mean, there's literally nothing like the Avengers. But see, here's the thing. A lot of the things that I wanted to do got canceled, or they didn't get set up, or they closed before I could go, and this was obviously due to COVID-19. But this is just what I've seen over the past year, and I just want to preface this by saying things that I wanted to go to got canceled, but I could have done more things, right? I could have made more videos. I could have bought my gimbal earlier. I could have went out and just filmed something, but I didn't. But on the other end of the spectrum, I feel like a lot of people, they just blame the year, and they blame COVID, and they blame things being closed down for not reaching their goals and not doing what they wanted to do, provided, like I said, what they wanted to do didn't close due to COVID, if that made sense. So, I think 2021 will be the year of accountability. 2021 will be that year that either you stay in the same place. I feel like it's a very big year in terms of momentum. It's going to be either the year that you stay in the same place, or you take a big step towards your goals and aspirations. One thing I don't really understand is that people think that in 2021, COVID and all of its problems are just gonna disappear, or they're just gonna cease to exist. I don't necessarily think that's gonna happen. And if we're thinking logically, that's probably not gonna happen either. Okay, 2020 was a bad year, I'll give you that. Let's just go down a list, off the top of my head of what happened this year. So Kobe passed away in January. There were those Australian wildfires, the elephant in the room that obviously is COVID-19. The stock market crashed. There was that whole thing in the States with George Floyd, and it sparked a whole, situation of civil unrest and protests and all these kinds of things. It was, down in the States, up here, even in Canada. There were those murder hornets that came from somewhere in Asia or something like that. People were scared of those. Side note here, one good thing about winter is that, obviously the bugs go away, and I don't know, do they hibernate? Is that a thing? I don't know, they just disappear in September, and then they come back in April. But anyway, beside the point, there was that explosion in Beirut. Chadwick Boseman passed away. There were those fires in the States, on the West Coast, California, in that kind of area. Donald Trump got COVID, and he mysteriously got cured very fast. And then obviously there was that whole thing of, the election, and it was fake, and it was rigged, and it was this, and it was that. And obviously at the end of the day, Joe Biden ended up winning. See, all these things and more happened in 2020. But one of the funniest things that I can remember is that this decade was hyped up so much by everyone, and myself included. At the end of 2019, at the beginning of 2020, I told myself that 2020 was going to be the year that I'd, make a big change in my life. And yes, things did change, but they didn't change as drastically as I wanted to. I consider 2020s as the first real adult decade of my life. I graduated from high school in 2014, and then I basically just job hopped from job to job until now, and I didn't really have any goals at all. I was just kind of going with the flow, so to speak, throughout life. Fast forward a few years to 2019, I was 23, and I was entering the first decade of my life as a real adult, let's call it, with goals, a job and responsibilities. And, I was excited and I didn't want to waste any time. I basically just wanted to put my head down, do the work, and let's call it make something of myself. But then obviously, like I said, 2020 happened and I didn't do as much as I wanted to do. But I'm holding myself accountable. I only have one goal next year, is to be accountable for my own actions and to do something about it. Like, I think a lot of people have to have that conversation with themselves, and they have to ask and say, am I going to be one of those people that blames the world for, like, just because the world is on fire, both literally and figuratively, for my shortcomings? Am I going to blame the world for not doing the thing that I want to do? I mean, to me, that's like blaming the ice for being slippery when you were the one that was running on it, and then you fall down and you blame the ice. That just doesn't really make sense to me. Really and truly, I think COVID-19 and this whole mask thing isn't gonna go away anytime soon. I think COVID-19 is here to stay for the foreseeable future, just like chickenpox and the flu and other things like that. Like, regardless if the vaccine is effective or not, I think a lot of people won't get the vaccine because either they're scared, or it's gonna have like problems with it, or they're conspiracy theorists, or whatever the case is, and they'll still be susceptible to it. I think that we're just gonna have to learn to live with COVID-19 rather than just wishing and praying for it to vanish off the face of the earth. So I say all that to say this: 2021 will probably be equally as bad as 2020 in terms of COVID-19, and maybe even worse, because see, here's the thing. People are getting tired of being home all the time, and I think eventually people are just not gonna care, and they're gonna start going out, not to restaurants, but to friends' houses and parties and gatherings and things like that, regardless of if people have COVID, because everybody is just gonna get tired of staying inside. I mean, it's just human nature, right? Like, people have been saying, like, even now this year, that they're gonna be going to their relatives' house for Christmas and New Year's. And I think that the only way COVID slows down is if everybody stays at home. But I don't think that's ever gonna happen, because the bottom line is that people just don't care. COVID-19 isn't deadly enough to make people stay in, and that's just the truth. If it was something with a higher fatality rate or mortality rate or whatever you want to call it, you can bet that you'd have people taking it seriously. But COVID just isn't strong enough to make, yes, the majority of people care about it, but the rest, right? Like, there's the people that care about it, like there's that, group of people, and then there's the rest of the people that don't care about it. If COVID was a little more serious and, I'm not saying it's not serious, but if it was a little more serious, then there would be less people in this group that don't care, and they will be moved to the group that does care. But on the other end of the spectrum, I don't want you to let COVID-19 and lockdowns and outside forces, derail or delay you from reaching your goals. Like, I'm not saying to go out and party and try to spread COVID, but, I don't want you to be like everybody else and just blame the year and blame outside forces, from preventing you from reaching your goals. Like, 2021 for me is going to be the year of accountability. And, as far as I'm concerned, 2020, it was just a wash. Like, it was a waste of time for me. I feel like it was a waste of time. And I feel like it was a waste of a whole year, but only because I wasted the time. So the only person that I have to blame is myself. And my plan, my goal next year is that hopefully it won't be a repeat of this year. And as always, thanks for watching.